Welcome back to another video in my power ranking series. Uh, we are moving along at a good pace here. We have hit the halfway point, and yeah, we're gonna just keep on moving along into the ranking list here. So, without further ado, I'm gonna jump right back in. So, at number 17, I have the Tennessee Titans. Now, the Tennessee Titans were number 1 last year in the AFC. So dropping down to number 17 means a lot happened, you know. It means a lot happened this offseason. They got a lot worse. They got a lot cheaper, a lot younger. They themselves are kind of in a bit of a rebuild. I would have liked to see them trade away Derrick Henry this offseason if they were planning on a rebuild, because he's a great player and I want to see him win. They drafted Malik Willis over the offseason. Malik Willis is a very, very talented quarterback, but he's very unrefined. So I guess they kept Henry and Tannehill to try to win some games while they rebuild, which isn't a horrible idea. You know, it's not really, the NFL draft isn't about how high your draft picks are. It's about how many you have in those early rounds. And so it's not the worst thing in the world to try to win games while rebuilding. They did lose a lot of their key pieces from last year. They traded away A.J. Brown. They drafted Treylon Burks. I like Treylon Burks a lot at the wide receiver position, but he's another guy that's a little bit unrefined, but extremely talented. I mean, the dude's like 6'4", and they had him coming out of the backfield, and he's a wide receiver. You know, Treylon Burks is kind of the way we see the wide receiver position moving. You know, becoming the wide receiver running back is becoming kind of the line is starting to fade between wide receiver and running back positions, and we're seeing that, and Treylon Burks is going to be a massive part of that transition because he is that type of player. And Malik Willis, he can get the job done with his legs. He is insane when rolling out of the pocket, but his presence inside of the pocket leaves a lot to be desired, where Ryan Tannehill is best inside the pocket. So we're hoping that he can help Malik Willis out when it comes to that side. Hopefully he's taking him under his wing. But yeah, other than that, they Titans just got worse. They got younger. They got cheaper, and they're looking towards the future here. So yeah, I'm gonna move on from them at number 17 to the Patriots at number 18. Patriots are a weird team. It's still Bill Belichick's team. Bill Belichick does the magic that Bill Belichick does. They're in their third year of their rebuild without Tom Brady. Mac Jones is coming off of a very solid rookie year. I do hope for their sake. We are the Dolphin. I'm a Dolphins fan, and Patriots are our rival. But for the Patriots' sake, I hope that Belichick starts to trust Mac Jones a little more. They had one game where, I understand it was insane amount of win, but there was one game they won last year against the Bills where I think Mac Jones he attempted 3 passes the whole game. And that was a big pivotal point in his rookie season. That's actually where we saw him drop off a little bit, because your head coach isn't showing a lot of confidence in you when he only lets you throw 3 passes in an entire game. That hurts. They did lose J.C. Jackson. They let J.C. Jackson walk, which is huge. I thought it was unwise. I think they traded him away. I just thought it was no. They let him walk through free agency, and he was one of the best corners in the league last year. He was an extremely core piece to their defense, which was very good. And their replacement was bringing back Malcolm Butler. And Malcolm Butler was very good with this team when he was with this team, and he was not so good once he left. But he is getting into the later part of his career now. You know, that Super Bowl saving play against the Seahawks is quite some time away now. It's like that was like what, 7 years ago. Some things have changed since then, but they did bring back Malcolm Butler. McCourty is getting a lot older. He was a massive piece for them last year. Still, he is still there. But honestly, I want to say, on paper, this defense got worse. But we are talking about Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick can take anybody off the street and turn them into an all-pro player. So, at the end of the day, you really can't count these guys out. And they are in their third year of their rebuild. So, I am projecting an improvement. Right now, I have them sitting at 18 because they're going to have to prove to me that, I'm wrong about some of these assumptions, but that's Bill Belichick for you. He that's what they do every year is they get cheaper, but somehow they get better. It's just how Bill Belichick is. There's a reason why he's considered one of the greatest coaches of all time. That's really all I have to say about the Patriots is Bill Belichick, man. Bill Belichick. So yeah, that caps them off at number 18. Moving on to number 19, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Eagles kind of were questioning their quarterback position. They were questioning Jalen Hurts. They're still questioning Jalen Hurts, but not as much. Moving towards the later part of last season, they started to figure things out. They let him run with the ball a lot more. Started using all different types of option plays. They kind of took some notes from what the Ravens have been doing over the past few years with Lamar Jackson, and Jalen Hurts is starting to take over that kind of role. He is nowhere near as refined as a passer as Lamar Jackson is, but I do love the guy's personality, and I do think he can grow in this league. And I am absolutely rooting for Jalen Hurts as a player and as a person. I hope he shows up and kills it this year. They had a very stacked draft class last year. They had a lot of first rounders. They went to the playoffs, and they had like 3 first rounders. So that in itself is a massive win. When you can make the playoffs and have 3 first rounders, those are guys that are probably going to be producing very early on in the season, or at least in their careers. They traded for very talented wide receiver in A.J. Brown, very skilled guy, to help Jalen Hurts in his passing game. Very wise decision. That's what you want to do, is you want to help out your quarterback, and they made that decision. And if it doesn't work out for Jalen Hurts, there's a very stacked draft class coming up, quarterback draft class. They bolstered their defense up with a couple of big signings over free agency. They did get a lot better as a team from last year, so I see them moving up my rankings pretty quickly too. But again, they're another team that are going to have to answer some questions. They're going to have to prove it on the field. And it's hard to really rank these guys when you haven't seen a game yet. You haven't seen them play. But yeah, they do have a lot of draft picks going into the future. They did have a great draft class, and they're a team that I am hopeful for. And yeah, that summarizes the Philadelphia Eagles at number 19. Now, that is going to also cap off this video in this playlist. I thank you guys for coming and sticking around. And yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next one.